Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu says he will operate the affairs of his county at the sub-county level. The embattled governor, who joined worshippers at the Victors Assembly Church in Kikuyu sub-county, also announced that he's keeping off 2022 succession politics, which he blamed for his current wars.
Huwezi fanya kazi hiyo unajaribu kusema ifanywe na deputy kama hajakuwa gazetted. Kwani kama saa hii hapa kama kuna mtu alikuwa amekuja na karatasi nimsainie, si ningemsainia tu. Si nimekuwa hapa, yes. Mimi ndio kama executive powers bado ziko na mimi. Mimi juzi nimeongea na deputy governor. Na yeye pia hana confusion. Anajua mimi ndio mdosi. Mimi ndio mdosi wa county.
Waititu is the mdosi of a county, right? But what does actually the ruling by Mumbi portend as far as his mdosi is concerned, right? Because he says he will operate. He will not really go to the county office. But is it a matter of mortar and brick, right? Is it actually the office itself as a physical office, or it's the functions of the office? We are not really getting the clarity, and maybe also Governor Waititu is not really getting the clarity. Allow me to introduce our panelists this morning. If you joined us at the top of the hour, I'd introduce to you Richard Onyonka, who is a member of parliament from Kitatu Chache South. Also, we have with us our resident analyst. This is Haman Manyora, who is a political commentator. We have with us as well Alice Wahome, who is a member of parliament for Kandara. We have with us as well nominated senator. This is Isaac Mwaura also. We are eagerly awaiting for Pugiso to join us much later in the course of the program. Let's just begin with Haman Manyora. Right, Waititu says he's still the mdosi of the county, so he can operate even at the sub-county level. But where is the demarcation where we have him not really given that handy opportunity to access his office and the functions of the office? Where is the clarity?
Morning, Debar.
Morning to you.
And morning, Kenyans, fellow panelists. You see, I've been following things on Twitter and participating also.
Yes.
With some of the toughest lawyers in this country. You get a feeling that we don't have a way of dealing with this country.
Yes.
When things are simple and they must be allowed to remain simple, we make them complicated. When we have complex issues, we try to be simplistic in our dealing with them. So you see the confusion about revenue bill, which is supposed to be judge does not have the power to remove Waititu from office. The office of governor can be vacated in a manner prescribed by the Constitution, none of which says a judge can one day in their ruling say go home. But nevertheless, she asks that Waititu step aside for a while so that investigations can continue, the prosecution can continue. But in my understanding, in my understanding, what the judge was saying is this: look here, you are caught in a very difficult situation. How can a person like this continue being governor? So what do you do? I am giving you I'm making this situation so complex that Waititu cannot work, and yet he remain governor. So it is a situation where really you are a governor, yet you can't work, because it's not the physical space the way Waititu says. It is being governor. Because if you transfer yourself to some sub-county like in Numberi, whatever it's called, and work from there, who are you going to work with? You'll still work with the officers of the county. And the court does not want you to interact with officers of the county and the documents from the county. So what does work mean? Work means you'll work with people. If you are signing a document, somebody brings to you. If you are chairing a cabinet meeting, it's not air. It is your CECs. And therefore, you are still working. It can't have been the physical space. It is actually working as a governor. And in my thinking, what I've really been saying over the last few days is, Mombengogi was telling us, look here, gentlemen, you must walk out of these things. I'm creating a situation that is so difficult that Waititu either has to resign, which is what people do anywhere in the world, or if he doesn't, the MCAs have an opportunity accorded to them by the Constitution to impeach the governor. In other words, what the judge is saying is no longer tenable for Waititu to remain governor of of Kiambu. Yet I don't have the powers. But I'm creating a situation that must be exploited, either by Waititu to save himself further embarrassment and shame by standing as by resigning, or for MCS to remove him. And that's my take.
Okay, right. Let's hear from Isaac. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I come from Kiambu County, and I vote for Kiambu in the Senate many times. And I'm a direct stakeholder of this. In fact, around 1 today, we'll have a meeting today to discuss development matters of Kiambu County. And Governor Waititu seems to be confusing. He's the person of Ferdinand Clifford Ndongo Waititu, Babayao, and the position of the governor. Those are two different people. They are two different legal persons. So when I hear him speaking, he looks like he has gotten you know, the road to Damascus, like Paul of Tarsus. He seems to have really changed after he was remanded. You know, I have listened to him. This gentleman should not imagine that the office of the governor of Kiambu resides in himself. You know, sometimes we call him himself in the Kiambu County. Himself, yes, because of his. Because he cannot transact business when he is supposed to, function to function as a governor. He stepped aside. So whatever directives he gives are illegal. They cannot hold water. He has not been removed from office. I think there are some MCAs who are planning to impeach him. Mm-hmm. I wish them well. And they must anchor that impeachment in law so that it is not just witch hunt. But then the Constitution is very clear. Why we have a running mate for governor, just like we have a running mate for president, mm-hmm. is to ensure that there is no lacuna, there is no vacuum when it comes to the exercise of power. So really, I find it hogwash, and I think he needs to be arrested for contempt of court. He actually needs to, because if he is allowed, mm-hmm. he is creating very good ground for others also to misread, to misunderstand, and deliberately go against the wishes of the court. And this is also born of some lawyers that I saw on TV somewhere, Nelson Harvey and Kanjama and others, who are basically ogling for the corruption money by misadvising clients or would-be clients,
yes,
so that they can benefit from this like this. I think it's totally unacceptable. If you look at Chapter 6 of the Constitution, it's very, very clear. If Justice Mumbi Gogi, and I must salute her for many of her landmark rulings, is that you cannot have a situation where some people can step aside and others cannot step aside. All leaders, whether elected, appointed, or whatever, if you have fallen short of the glory of the Constitution, you must then step aside.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let's hear from Alice Wahome, and it seems also they always say that the law cannot be applied retrospectively. I don't know, and we have this particular story that was on the front page of a Sunday Nation about also more governors that maybe the DPP might be putting, of course, his net around. This is a DPP to kick out more governors, says bolstered by a ruling at the High Court. Nordin Haji wants more county chiefs thrown out due to corruption cases facing them. But the politicians are assembling a financial war chest, lawyers and political muscle, the list of those at risk and the battle ahead. Right, that story was tucked on page 8. Let's hear from you. What would be your input as far as this? It seems also maybe Governor Waititu is operating from a deficiency of knowledge as far as, this particular pronouncement was made by Judge Mumbi.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to disagree entirely with a lot of things that Mr. Mwaura here, Senator Mwaura, has said. I believe he is not talking from a legal perspective. He's talking from a political perspective. These are two different things. It is not possible that a governor will be removed by a court ruling that actually did not even direct itself to the manner in which Waititu should leave office.
An elected governor.
An elected governor. I mean, there are no governors who are not elected.
Yes.
Because they draw executive power directly from the people. The mandate is by the people. And that's why the provision for impeachment is again in the Constitution and emanates from actually the county assembly, which is a representative of the people who have elected members of the county assembly, did grant them mandate to start the process of removing. So Justice Mobi was basically alluding, because obviously she was dealing, I believe, with the cases of executive appointments that are obviously different from elective appointments. Of course, you can argue that this is a double standard, but the Constitution recognized that political arrangements is very dynamic and unique in a certain way that you saw how there were some quarters that were very excited by the ruling that said Governor Waititu should actually not go to the scene of crime. And the court described the governor's office as a scene of crime and indicated that where the governor should not be there until the case is heard. That is actually attempting to remove the governor from the back door. Because in any event, if Waititu has been charged, it means sufficient evidence has been collected. So if you are suggesting that you are locking him out of office because you still consider that as a sin of crime, it really defeats purpose in terms of it kind of speaks volumes to the kind of evidence that is in court. However, I would have imagined that even if he would be asked to stay out of office, it would be for a certain period so that to allow maybe sufficient documentation and further investigations to be completed, and thereafter allow the governor to operate until he's found guilty. And then not just that, until he exhausts his process of appellate courts, you know, the appeals would go maybe up to the, the Supreme Court, who knows, in terms even of constitutional references. So as long as you have a matter in court which is not concluded, you have maybe even appealed, you cannot remove. You can imagine the situation of a member of parliament. Maybe Mwaura is nominated, he may not have those kind of challenges. And then another claim is brought that maybe you have been involved somewhere, somehow with the CDF. Is it that who will deputize you then? I think we must separate issues here. I saw excitement in Kiambu, and indeed even Nyoro was appearing like he thought the office has been vacated. Indeed, the office has not been vacated. The executive authority is retained by the governor. He can decide to operate.
But are the functions crippled with the pronouncement?
The pronouncement was actually some that we are being excited about were not decisions or were not findings. It is something we call obiter dicta. Like the judge expressing her opinion, which is different from a finding and a judgment. And therefore, I mean, let us analyze the ruling properly so that we are not misguided by political excitement. There is nowhere Justice Mobi said Governor Waititu will not operate as a governor. That's my understanding of the ruling. It was that keep away from the office for now. And I mean, you can't say that there is, that he could actually operate across the road. He has, I think, 12 sub-counties in Kiambu, and those are governor's offices.
So from the office, you mean,
move.
My understanding also is, but I'll leave it for you also, maybe Hamantu and Richard Onyonga to is it the functions of the office or the office itself? I mean, that has been...
The functions of the office...
Functions of the office,
the
good.
functions of the office are carried out by an elected governor.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So the functions of office are carried out by an elected governor. You've been, of course, ordered by the court not to access the office.
Actually, the
so
office
why
is
would you go to the sub-counties to actually carry out the functions of the office? That is a question, Richard Onyonga. Just a moment.
The ruling indicated that you don't go to the office until the matter is concluded. What does that mean? Which office was? Did the court say stop being a governor or stop?
But you've just indicated these are the functions of the office that you're talking about.
You know what?
Right? That is a clarity.
I'm very clear about that.
Alice is speaking from both ends of her mouth because she's trying to tell us that the office is the building. That is exactly what she's trying to tell us. So Waititu was actually told to step aside from a building. And she's trying to tell us that she can establish even some other offices in the 12 sub-counties. I mean, this is why these lawyers mislead people. I mean, it's totally unacceptable. How can you come to tell us on one hand that somebody has actually been told not to exercise his power? I mean, these contracts that Waititu has been accused of getting kickbacks, it has not been proven in court that they were only received in the headquarters of Kiambu County. So that would occasion that that is the only place he can receive bribes. In fact, he has said he will be calling people. And I would want to tell the people of Kiambu, whether political or legal or otherwise, that they should stop somebody who can interfere with investigations in whatever manner and to be seen to be violating the court order simply because he thinks he has a political mass. It is wrong to back people who are corrupt. It's wrong.
It's wrong. Richard Onyonka.
I mean, so
Just a moment.
let
Yeah,
me just-
we'll come to you, Alice. We'll come to you. No, we'll come to you. Let's hear from let's hear from Richard.
We are putting arguments here, legal arguments.
We also
Maura is being very emotional
All right,
about
no.
this thing.
No, there's no
No,
question
just a moment.
about
Let's
it.
hear from Richard, then we'll come to you.
About
Just a
this
moment.
The moment you
Alice,
start saying about
Isaac,
you are, I am not
Alice,
elected
Isaac,
and you are
please.
elected, we are both in
Yeah,
parliament.
let's go sequentially.
there's no
I'm
difference.
Just a
in
moment.
relation to
If I step
CDF.
aside and
Alice and
start-
Isaac,
Maura,
please.
CDF.
In relation,
Okay.
this particular
CDF
argument,
itself is actually illegal.
Maura,
All right, I
you
think
are
I'll
not
put-
going to
no,
have
no,
Waititu
just a
out
moment,
that
Alice.
way.
No.
Follow
Okay,
the
okay,
process
okay.
and proceed.
The process is what the court has determined.
I think Amon will
Does
go and
that
sit
do
in
with
between
Maura?
now, Alice and but Richard, let's hear from you.
Madam Alice, you see, I think you should have sat here, then I sit here for today.
It's good.
Particular subject, when you come, then the argument will be the same.
It will be now Richard and you now again.
And I know we are going there
No,
also.
That's why Hammond should come in between.
You are safe.
Thank you.
please.
Richard.
I wanted to say this. There are three things that worry me. One is that we actually have forgotten that in 2000 and ruling, which was discussing this very issue we are talking about today. When is an individual culpable for them not to participate in public service or for them to serve their country? And this comes under Chapter 6. And this ruling was Muigai Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto. When you remember the matter was brought to court that because of the high crimes which they were supposedly alleged to have committed, then they should have not held public office. The Supreme Court actually pronounced itself on this. And what the Supreme Court said, yes, that may have been the case, but there's a very basic principle that the Constitution of Kenya protects somebody because they are innocent until proven guilty. That's point number one. Point number two, Justice Mumbi, in good faith, made a ruling where she pronounced herself. But in pronouncing herself, saying that Governor Waititu should not hold office insofar as when the investigations are continuing and when his case is going on, and therefore inherently what it meant was that he may not be continuing to serve the people of Kiambu. Even in that ruling, I found it actually confusing. The same argument you find. In other words, one side, you find my brother Isaac is saying, actually we are not talking about the physical address. We are not talking about the governor's mansion and the areas where he operates from. What we are talking about is the office of the governor, where this individual serves in that office, in that capacity, by providing leadership and political guidance and management of the affairs of the people of Kiambu. I would hope, the way I've seen that the DPP and the DCI, that they are going to seek an interpretation, another interpretation from Justice Mumbi, if there's a need be, so that she can then actually, in a clear manner, say, is she saying that Waititu should not participate in any activity, he should not go to public functions, he should not go to that office which he has been running, which is the physical address, as a representative of the people of Kiambu, and that does the Constitution therefore allow her to actually make that decision. Was she sending a message, and there's a parallel on what is happening in the US and what is happening with Kiambu. In the US, Robert Mueller, who was a former FBI investigator, was investigating Donald Trump on crimes and misdemeanors. what Mueller said, he cannot impeach a sitting president. But he told Congress that Congress is free to actually proceed and impeach Donald Trump if they feel that they have the capacity and the morality to impeach him. I think, to me, what Mumbi has done, she has actually asked the MCAs in Kiambu County, saying, we have realized, without convicting the governor, that there are certain crimes and misdemeanors which he may have committed. And we are asking you people to come in, because your responsibility exists in the Constitution, that you are the only people who can actually remove the governor from office. So the judge may not necessarily have the capacity of saying, Governor Waititu, you are out. But I think, to me, the judge was saying, let Governor Waititu step aside. Now, again, we need an interpretation to explain what stepping aside is all about.
Now,
We need an interpretation for stepping aside.
let me tell you
Isn't it
this.
self-explanatory? So we,
The bar.
yes, let's hear from...
The bar, there is no explanation or clarification to be sought from the court. The judge was as clear as it can ever get. And lawyers always say it is very clear. This is also very clear, lawyer Alice Wahome. What the judge is saying is, it is not tenable for Waititu to do the work of, to continue performing the work of governor, okay? But she doesn't have the power to remove him.
That's
She
what I
therefore
said.
creates a situation where either of the two things will happen. One, that Waititu resigns, or two, the people impeach him. Let me demonstrate using the President of the Republic of Kenya. He enjoys immunity from prosecution, okay?
Yes.
It's not the case everywhere, including America, by the way. It's not the way. It's not expressly provided in America that you can't impeach the president. So there are countries where the president can be impeached. Now, I'm saying, let's assume that was the case in Kenya. And then the court has said, because the President of the Republic of Kenya has appeared in case on graft charges, he should not appear where? In the office. What would that mean? It means State House. So anapanga mizigo yake anatoka. It means where?
Harambee House.
Harambee House. So how else can he remain president? How will he be president again? That is the situation Mumbi Ngugi has created. And because the president holds just beyond executive power, his presence is more than his signature on many things. You get what I'm saying? That the country will crumble without the president. And that's why we have protected the president. So, and I've been arguing, what we need to do is to equally protect the office of the governor from persecution. You get it? To save ourselves from situations such as this. In this situation that Mumbi has created, unless another court varies that decision, there is no way Waititu will be governor. He has to go home. Either he has to resign or the county has to, because it is an awkward situation. There are things that cannot move without the governor. So as a country, we must engage on the issue of providing immunity for prosecution for the governor in the same way we are provided for the president, to save ourselves from this awkward situation. Now, people, when I do this on Twitter, people tell me I'm wrong, I'm protecting thieves. But there are ways you now handle this. The MCAs will now do their job, so that when it gets to a point, then they will impeach the governor. Number two, we will now go for the officers who actually do the signatures. The governor does not give tenders. The governor does not sign any document to give money out. It is officers who do it. So we will now spotlight the officers and we will jail them. And the next time they will never, ever receive instructions from governors because they know they'll go to jail. So we protect the office of the governor from persecution to save ourselves from this kind of awkward situation. But finally, Alice, this idea that people must wait until criminal charges against them are over is misplaced. Because we are talking about integrity. You cannot be governor of a country with integrity hanging over your head. Public trust in leadership is important for functions to go on. And therefore, we are now trying to say, and this is what Justice Mumbi Ngugi is telling us, if you want to remain a third world country, poor, where people are dying from diarrhea, go ahead. But if you want to move forward and join the League of Developed Nations, let us be having this idea of shame, public shame. When you are caught in the mess that Waititu is caught on, can you please move out? This is what she's telling us. And that is the only way as Kenyans we will develop as a country. and move into the League of Civilized Nations, where our people are not dying from cheap diarrhea.
Alice thinks that
That's what I'm saying.
Alice thinks that this is a very simplistic way of thinking, that she moves forward because now
the countries that we
we're
emulate,
encumbered by what now the Constitution demands, that there has to be a due process, there has to be, you know, an appearance before the Senate, there has to be an impeachment that will happen.
Listen, just a moment.
Let him finish. Let him finish and come. Yes.
Just a moment. The same Constitution, Alice and the bar, under Article 10 and Chapter 6, envisages a situation where only clean Kenyans serve Kenyans. That supersedes anything. What Parliament did is to dilute Chapter 6, actually shelve it. And I understand why. We were caught in a very difficult situation. How are we ever going to stop President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto from running in 2013? I understand how difficult it was even for the Supreme Court and the IEBC. It was so difficult.
Right.
But having gone out of it by the we must begin implementing Chapter 6.
Thank you. Alice, just hold on, Alice. We need to take a short break. When we circle back, we'll begin with you. We take a short break right now, but let me just read one or two tweets as we also taking a short break. We have Abdul Rashid Abdullahi saying we've got to obey the laws. Judge Mumbi Ngugi was very clear. It is self-explanatory. No need for interpretation. Governor Babayo should not go near the office. Also, we have Jasper Mogira saying, I just love the deep state. They've convinced us that 47 control 320 billion, stealing about 10%, that is 32 billion shillings, are our enemy, whilst the national government can't account for 65% of a 2 trillion shillings budget. Who is our real enemy? This is what Jasper is asking. Also, we have Gideon Yada saying, Senator Mwaura, the court has not convicted the good governor. The ruling is preliminary, and as such, no substantive verdict has been made yet. Seems the law is elusive even to lawmakers. This is what he's saying. We have also Ed here saying, so is Alice Wahome the only person who can understand court rulings while the rest of us are incapable of doing so? Can we stop playing politics with every single thing that involves the lives of Kenyans? This is what he's saying, ED. Also, we have, or Ed, Samuel Ruto saying Alice Wahome is, in other words, in support of a public thievery. Is she trying to imply our courts are authorized to bar only national leaders, as if the Constitution of Kenya is used in isolation of counties? Waititu stole from Kenyans, not Kiambu people. This is what he thinks. And lastly, we have Field Marshal saying there is nothing like counties merger in Punguza Mizigo Bill 2019. This is to you, Honorable Nyonka. If you've not read the bill, stop peddling lies. Don't tell us what Raila says. You can think independently. Nobody knows what's with the BBI. Okay, this is I don't know if he's insulted you in Kisii there. Obusuku Obonene Oborokia. I don't know what he's saying.
I'll translate for
yeah,
you.
We need to take a short break.
He's just being parochial.
He's being parochial.
Yeah.
Right, we'll take a short break right now. When we circle back, we will also pick the brains of Alice Wahome to respond to some of these tweets as well and clarify what is the way forward as far as the fate of Governor Waititu is concerned. Shall he face an impeachment, or what does it mean also as far as the functions of the office of the governor is concerned? Is it crippled? Don't go.